Welcome back and good morning, champions. Hope you're doing good and hope you are synchronous, right? And you have completed all your assignments and all previous 9 parts, including all the JSP parts and the previous 9 parts of full stack web application development using JSP. Without wasting much of your time, let's straight away get started. So this is what we have achieved so far. Right, we have been able to create register.jsp, sorry, which is taking a request from register student, and we have been able to register a student, and we have also been able to check for validation and every single thing. Right, and I'll show you some regular expressions as well. Let me try and test. Yeah, please write your first name and now please choose a valid password. Everything is working. Fine. So now what we have to do, we have to make sure that we are checking the availability right here. So let me first design and style this check availability. Right, so it is going to be a paragraph. Yeah, it is a paragraph inside this form. Right, which is check availability. Let me do one thing. Okay, and this is inside an article known as register article. Right, so this is inside an article, that is the register article, and I'll go straight forward to my a CSS file and start styling it right here. So I'll say inside register article there is a paragraph. You mind if you give margin left of 10 pixels to that paragraph, right? So now you can see it's taken margin 10 pixels right here. And if you mind if I set font dash size 12 pixels. Okay, so I set font size to 12 pixels, so now it's slight. You can see check availability is right here. Alright, so you mind if you set color to green. Now you can see now the color is green. You mind if you set cursor to pointer, and after doing all, you mind if you get a hover, right, and change your text dash decoration to overline. So whenever I pass mouse over you, change your text decoration to overline. You can see check availability, right? So that's it, that's fine, right? So we have been able to do this. Now we have 3 check availabilities right here. Now you got to see this. All right, we are having 3 check availabilities. I'll straightforward go to accounts controller, not accounts controller really, but I'll go to my JS accounts.js. So this part is done, so submit button click is done now. Now what I got to do is I will create another function. I'll create a simple function here. I call this as check, or we can say check availability. So I'll say check availability. I'll use the same function name, and this time I'll make sure I accept 2 parameters right here. Check availability of what? Value and type. So I'm accepting 2 parameters here, value and type. So let me alert both the parameters, which is val, and I'll say plus type. I'm concatenating them and alerting them both. So now we'll have to call this check availability function. So I'll go directly to register student, and I will go to the first paragraph. So the first P is going to be to check availability of username. I'll say on click. Right, whenever you click on this paragraph, right, you go and call a JavaScript function which is going to be check availability, right? And now what do you pass to that function? Right, you have to pass something to that function. Right, what are you going to check? Check availability of what? Let me not have 2 parameters, let me have only 1 parameter. I'll say check availability. I'll pass within single quotes, I will pass you. right? SERNAME. So I'll pass capital username, right? So that's fine. Is that fine? Okay, fine. So now let me alert. Go back to accounts.js. So let me accept value as a single type. So now check availability function is going to accept one value, which is coming from whenever we click on check availability of username, right? Because it's underneath choose a username. That means we're checking availability of username right here, right? You can see it's underneath here. Now you're alerting. When I click here, you're getting user name. So let me do the same to all check availabilities. Here we are checking the availability of password, right? So I will pass it here, password, all right? And now we are checking, no, that's what we are checking, maximum, okay. Check availability we're using 2 times. It should have been 3 times. Mobile number should have been there, but yeah, we'll just use 2 times. 3 times you can use it yourself. Now here we are getting, same function is called, username is the value, and same function is called here, but password is the value. So this is what happens when you pass parameters right here. And dogs have started barking again. Every time I start the class, they come up and they start barking. And I don't know where they get this energy from, right? And maybe they're basically hungry. No one is actually, giving them food, or they're not finding it, right? Maybe. Who knows? But anyways, so let's get going. Now, because of parameter passing, what we have been able to do, we are checking the availability. This is the function we're calling check availability, and the parameter passed is password, and here the parameter passed is a user name. So that's what we're getting. When I click here, I get alert of username, I get alert of PASSWRD password. So this is the test. You should always test. It's not like writing the entire code. If you write the entire code without even knowing what the code is doing, right? So beforehand, you should know the outcome, right? What do you want? You should know that. And you are doing step by step. So that's absolutely recommended to do step by step, right? So unless you complete the first step, you'll not be able to go to the next step. So that's very, very much true, and that's fine. And that minimizes the chances of getting exceptions and errors. Even if you get, you'll have to only deal with one exception rather than dealing with 12 and getting, frustrated in that way. So this is what I recommend, because I never had to do alerts. Why would I alert? But yeah, I am checking unit testing step by step. Now what I will do right here, I will say, hey, wait a minute, I have used $.aj. I'll use the same function $.ajax again, curly braces inside, terminate it and go. And this time I will say URL. I'll use the same URL. Now, but you'll say, sir, how can you use the same URL? I'll tell you how can we use the same URL, right? I'll use the same URL that I have already used here. Or in fact, let me copy this, right? So this time I'll not be passing JSON because I'm passing only one value. So this is of there's no fun of converting that value to JSON, right? So I'll just close. No, why would you close? I'll just close button click. So I will just replace these two things. So type is post. No, this time type is get, because I'm fetching something. So I'll say get, and I go to components register. So now I will say, now I have a success function that returns some option or some data to me, right? Whatever you want to say it, right? And I will say alert. Now let me see what the function is giving back to me this time, right? So if I say check availability, okay, if I say check availability, nothing is coming. I don't know why. Okay, I did not terminate maybe. All right, let me try again. I am not getting anything. Type is get, and URL is components register.jsp. Yeah, I'll have to see the error now. I'll go to inspect element. Whenever you want to debug, you should always check the console. Yeah, we are getting error 500, and I was expecting this kind of error, right? Why are we getting this error? Why? I'll tell you why are we getting this error, right? I'll say this piece of code in register.jsp Now this is basically the main reason you have not written any condition of this code. When do you want to execute this code? Do you want to execute this code on post or on get? But if you call this on get, now let's see what are we supplying here. We're not supplying any JSON object, right? What are we supplying? We are not supplying anything, right? Okay, even if you supply, I will say data, and I will supply some good amount of data right here. So let's say about I am supplying, let me call this val, because this is the value we are getting. Whenever check availability is called, value is passed in this parameter. So I will say I am passing value as val. But what is the function expecting? When you go to components register.jsp, what are you expecting? You are expecting udetails here, but you're not passing udetails, right? And what are you mapping? When you're not typing udetails, you're mapping it with class, so empty class cannot be mapped, and so on and so forth. Now what I do here, I will say, hey, wait a second, I require the accounts class object both during get and during post, so I will take it out, and this is what I require, right? Both on get and on post. So I will say if request dot get method is equivalent to, or I can say rather dot equals post. If the request method is post, only then do mappings and do registration, right? Because registration is happening on post, right? Okay, now we can say what alert are we getting? Are we still getting an exception? No, we're getting null. Why are we getting null? Because user.get message is null. So let me save this as well. I'll go to the class user. So I'll go to my model. I should not get null, right? So now we are rectifying this null problem, right? And I'll go to my zero parameter constructor. I will say this dot message is equivalent to, right? So initialize message with blank string. Now see what are you getting? You're not getting anything, right? So that's good. Not getting anything is always better, right? Now message so that you don't get null, right? And move this code on post. Now if you do post, it will work absolutely fine. Please enter your first name. So now if I enter my, what is this? Please enter your first name. Maybe I've written it like this. So please enter your username. So I'll enter my username. So we can see that post has started working fine. Post is working absolutely fine. Now even get is also working fine. Now we can say that if get is called, right? So I will say else if, right? So I'll say else if. Now if the request method is get, this is how you utilize the single file for multiple purposes, right? If now the request method is not post, if it is get, why don't you do one thing? You will say user dot set message. I'm doing this user dot set message just to check, right? I'll have to delete it, don't keep it, right? Get called. Okay, all right. Now please enter your first name. I written please enter this, please enter that, all right, and get called. Now please choose a valid password. If I click this, get called. If I click this, get called. So now this is how you differentiate, because if you check login, if you check your check availability is also taking to the same URL, which is register.jsp, and this registration is also going to the same page, which is registration.jsp. and here we are taking JSON object, and here we are not taking any JSON value. We are taking plain value which is supplied whenever you call check availability. Now I can do something like this if you want, right? So I can do this. I can see user.setMessage because we are printing user.getMessage. I could do this direct here as well, but I don't want to do that. I will say request dot get parameter. Yeah, request dot get parameter value. Now let's see what value are you getting, and we are alerting the same value again, right? So what is wrong? Nothing. So I'll save it and see now. Now username is supplied and it's being printed back. Password is supplied and it's being printed back. Now why are we getting lots and lots of spaces? Yeah, you will get spaces because you're handling a JSP page. And for that, I already told you, you can do this, or you can do directly here. So you can say $.trim, right? So you can say trim, right, option. So I am going, this trim is going to trim the spaces from right hand side and from left hand side. Why do we have error? I don't know. $.trim option. Alright, so maybe it's not working here, but it should work. Yeah, it's not working here. It's caused an exception. So, okay. Let me see this. So I'll say option is equal to $.trim. So now trim the option, right and left side space has to be trimmed, and you're trimming the right hand side and the left hand side. That means this space and this space. And then goes to option, and we should be able to get spaceless alert. Now you can see user name, normal alert. Now you can see password. Now it's absolutely fine. This part is done. Now you're executing this on get, and now let me go ahead and do the rest in accounts controller. Maybe now I'll go to register.jsp. Now if it is get, I don't want to do that, right? I will just say request dot get parameter will go to user dot set. You can set any parameter now because we are checking email and we are checking username, right? In that matter, you'll have to do it. So I can say if user dot get parameter. So that's not a good option here, right? So it's not a good option to use it here. But yeah, if you want to use, I can say if user dot get parameter, right? Or what you can do, set username only. So I'll say user dot set username, right? Not get username. I'll say user dot set user dot set username request dot get parameter value. Now you are doing it. Now if is not required, why do I use if? No, it's not required. That's it. So let me do this. Okay, user dot set username request dot get parameter. Now accounts controller object is already here. Let's go to accounts controller and let me create a function, right? So I will say I am going to create a public function which is going to be of type string, right? And I will say okay, so a public string, right? So I can say check. Check availability is already here, right? Check US, or we can say check username, right? Password, or not password, username, email. So I'll make this short. So check username and email. It is going to accept users as user. And now what I do, I'll do the same here. So I will say, hey, wait a second. I will say if. Now see, I'll make this query right here. I will say, you can say this, you can say it like this, if user dot get username, right? Because you're supplying only one parameter here and you're utilizing the same parameter. Now this is user dot request dot get parameter value. So username is going to take both email and it's going to take, you know, both the email and the username will come here. For example, right, if I do right here, let me say return blank, and let me do a system.out.println, right? So if I do a system.out.println right here, I'll say user dot get username. Now you can clearly see what is coming. All right, I'll go to glassfish and I will clear. Now see, if I click this, so what is coming here? Username. Now you can see it's not been called. I did not call it. So now let me call it. Now because the object is already available, this object will be available for post and for get both. So I will say AC dot check username, I supply this value. Now it's called, right? So now let me show you. If I click check availability, right, I go back and I say I'll go to accounts controller and check the output. So I'm getting username. Now if I click this here, so I should be getting password. Now you can see, but both are coming in username, right? So that's why I'm just utilizing username to carry data. Otherwise, if you want to do it some other way, you can do it some other way, or you can make another getter and setter, so that's also possible. But now here I'll distinguish. I will say if user.get username dot equals, right, username, right, then do this. Else, right, if I will say user dot get username dot equals, what are you supplying? The second thing, check availability is going to be email, perhaps. No, why are we supplying password? We are absolutely, we lost it. Here is username, and here we have to supply email. I'm sorry, so I'll supply email now, and I'll say if user.get username dot equals email, do this. What do you do now? See, right? So you will say u and system.out.println, right? So you will say you print out u here and e here, just to check. It's just unit testing, right? So I'll clear it, and let me show you. This is email. So if I click on email, so I get e. If I click on username, I get u, right? So that's absolutely fine. So now let us make queries, right? I'll say if, let's say user dot, if it is username, user dot set, I'll say user dot set, okay, we can say q, or what is that, right? User dot set, what do we do? Query? Is it query or what? What do we call? Is valid, save. Okay, I'm using some wrong file here. What has happened to me? Is valid, save user, return true. What is it? Okay, someone has sent me this project. I'm using his project, I suppose. I don't know. FSSW, right? I'm using the same. All right, so check availability. I don't know. What is wrong? It means accounts controller is same. Is valid is there. Check availability is returning true. So someone's, I don't know. Whose project am I using then? Okay, let me complete it. So now I don't want to waste too much of time here, right? So because my project has got replaced with something. FSW was my project, I suppose, and now we are having FSSW. So for me, let me open the project. I will say PC and C column, users, and I'll go to users, NetBeans. I can go to, not users basically, I can directly go to documents, right? So I'll go to documents, NetBeans project F. So what is the project name? FSW, and then the second project is going to be FSSW, right? So I have this project, maybe FSW. Let me open that FSW. Is it somewhere? Do you find it? No, absolutely not. Where is FSW? Okay, I'll still have to complete it. So let me, okay, because we have already created so many things, so I'll not skip this lecture now. The only matter of the fact is that I'll still have to do one more thing here, which I did in the previous lecture. DB Essentials has to be imported, and it has to be, inherited by none other than user. I did it in previous video, right? So it's extend. Oh, why am I extending from config? Absolutely no idea. So I'll say extends, right? So public user extends. I will say it extends DB. So it extends from DB Essentials, right? So I'll close it down. Now it's extending from DB Essentials. And the second thing that I forgot, all right, because I still have to pass the object of config here, because I don't know what happened here. But yeah, since it's just a bit that you have to do, you don't have to do a lot. So I'll go to constructor. So I'll create a 0 parameter constructor. Note, not a 0 parameter. So this is going to accept config as C. So the moment I pass config here, the second thing that is going to happen, that whenever you create an object of this, so you have to pass config as C right here. So let me test it now. Yeah, we are now going to get some exception maybe. Right, so let me see what is wrong with this project. Let me import a project and come back. All right, it took me a while I have successfully restored the previous version. Now it's working fine. So now we were here. All right, check availability. Okay, now let me go to accounts controller and start doing my bit right here. So now if it is username, system.out.print has worked absolutely fine. Now what we will do, we will do user.set query. If it is username, I will say select ID from the table name, which is users, was the table name students, sorry, not users. Okay, so I'll be doing this. Select ID from students over WHERE, where I'll say where magic quotes, where ID is, or we can say where, because we're checking username. I'll say username is equivalent to single quote plus user dot get username, and hold username holds both the email. We're using the single variable to take username and to take email as well, right? Because we are avoiding using two ifs. I don't want to use if twice, otherwise I can use email and username here, but yeah. And the second query right here, okay, is going to be user dot set query, which is going to be the same query, right? And I'll say, but instead of username, I'll say where email is equivalent to user dot get username. So I have been able to distinguish. Now if I do system.out.println user dot get query, now let's see the difference now. Alright, I'll go to Glassfish, clear, and go back, check availability of username. Right, we're getting an empty alert. A select ID from students where username is equal to username. Just give it a space near where. Alright, so now this part is done. And now what if I click on this? And let me clear. If I click on check availability of email. Alright, so in that case, select ID from students where email is equal to email. Alright, so is that email or what? I have no idea about what is that. What that is. Okay, let me see localhost 1020 php myadmin, and fs project is the database name, and the table is student. Fine. Now it is yeah, it is absolutely email, so I'm right. Okay. So now we have made the query, and we can see that the query transformation is absolutely fine. If you want to test, depending on you, so where is my output? So I'll go to output and say I'll copy this, right, where email is equal to email is not an option right here, because what we have to do, we have to supply something else here, right? Right, we have been able to distinguish between both of them. So let me supply, it's not going to work. Let's apply two parameters. Let me create a different one here. So I'll say private string option, right? Or we can say string check option. So this is what we can reuse it, this check option. Let me create insert code, getters and setters. Now because we require an email as well, right? So this is going to be check option. I'll redo it, my apologies. So now what I do here, I'll go to my accounts.js and say, hey, I am supplying the parameter, but yeah, wait a second, right? Get is happening. I am supplying the parameter right here, but you need to wait a second, right? Why would I wait? I will say if check availability. Now see this. I will say if val is equivalent to user name, do this. Else if val is equivalent to email, then do this, right? Then I'll say I will supply another option here, right? Or I can supply email, or I can supply whatever option you want. So I have created that option here, so I am going to supply that option here. So I'll say option is equivalent to dollar. If it is username, you go and grab the text of txt username, and now options, or you can say option, alright? Otherwise, option is equivalent to go and grab the text of txt email. So this is what you have to supply. Now I'll be supplying this option as a second parameter. OPTION will go as option. So I'm supplying this option a second parameter, whether it is txt username or txt email, right? And now we have just checked those options. What I need to go to register.jsp and say user dot set option, or set check option as request dot get parameter, which is going to be this OPTION, right? We are supplying this option here, right, from accounts.js. Yeah, option capital and value. Now we are supplying two parameters. One, we are grabbing text either from username or from email, right? So because you're grabbing, when you're testing this, you're grabbing text from this username. If you're grabbing this, you're grabbing text from email. So that's what is basically it's supposed to be. All right, so let me refresh it. Okay, let me get refreshed. Okay, fine. So now the second thing, since now I have supplied if val is equivalent to username, why am I getting this warning right here? What is this warning? Okay, use 3 is equivalent to instead. So this is the update in JavaScript. They, for comparisons, they are now using 3 is equivalent to sign. So that's it. Now say check availability. Okay, fine. So let me delete the history, right? And then go back and test several things. What is the time? Still 33. All right. Okay. Now the history is deleted. Check availability is not working, right? Let me see. If value is equal to username option. Okay, what is this option? It's var option. So I'll say var option. Maybe this was an error. Fine, so it is going to be var option, right? So we are grabbing that var option now right here. Okay, and we are setting check option as request.get parameter on get. Let me go back to accounts controller and I will say user dot where username is equal to get the option. If it is get check option, check option can either have username or check option can either have password. So that's what we are distinguishing. Or you can, if you want, you can create two functions to make it more easy for you guys. So if you want, you can create, right? Okay, I click on this. Now, fine, then it's working fine. But we aren't getting alert first, because this get is creating some kind of error right here, right? Okay, let me declare this var option here and let me keep it blank and then say option is equivalent to this, else if option is equivalent to this, else if nothing is supplied, option is equal to again blank. And let me see if it works. It still doesn't work, right? This option val is creating some problems. So let me say alert option, and let me return the code here so that we can test whether everything is happening all right or not. So let me refresh it, go back. Yeah, we are getting object, so that's the problem we are getting. This option is basically an object somewhere, right? Okay, what are we doing here? Username. If val is txt username dot val, oh my god, how can I forget this? Txt email dot val. So now at times we can do these kind of mistakes. Not there, but here. Okay, if value is username, get the value of txt username, take it to options, and else if it is email, take it from email and get it to options and alert options. Let me see. Yeah, we are not getting anything. Now if I supply username, I am getting username being displayed, and if I supply email being displayed, so that's absolutely fine. So let me get rid of this alert here, return, and let me go back and see what I can do right here. If I click, yeah, now everything is working fine. Now you say user dot right set statement, that is going to be user dot get query. All right, so now what you are doing, you're executing the query here. Doing it in a single, we can say, right? Or you're doing it in a single way. All right, or you can do it like this also, right? If you want. Okay. All right, so you'll say user dot, let me take it here. Which one is supplied? How do you know which one is supplied? So I'll say user dot get statement dot get query. All right, user dot statement is first going to be this dot con, right, and dot create statement, and then we say user dot get statement dot execute, right, which is going to be user dot get query. All right, so we can take it inside this right here, try, and I can say catch the SQL exception E. Here I can say user dot set message as E dot get message, right? Fine, so this thing is done. And now if you are getting something back, all right, now you have to see what are you getting back. So I will say, all right, here, if you are getting something back, what you got to do is, I will say if, now we have to take it in the result set. I will say user dot set result set, because we have to take it in the result set. You know that we have to take this, so I don't have to explain it again and again. So I'll say user dot set result set. Yeah, that's done. User dot get state, no, dot execute. Now why are we running execute? Okay, because we have to run execute query right here. Let's say execute query. So now execute query returns the result set, and I will say here if rs dot next, which is user dot get result set dot next, if it is true, and then you do user dot set message, right, rs dot, okay, now we can say user dot set message, user dot get result set dot get string, because you are getting get string, which is going to be okay, and let me see this. So I will say okay, let's say user dot set message, available is, or we'll say not available. Let's see whether we are able to get not available for this. Alright, so if I check for availability, right, if I press my username and say check availability, not getting anything. Right, say else, I will say user dot set message available. That way going to work maybe. Available, because you have not written anything, so because validation has to be there. Still available. So what is not available? I'll have to see. Username Fahim Khan is not available. So we should get Fahim, Fahimkhan, and we should get not available. Now you can see that we're clearly getting not available here. Right? And for email, we're getting clearly not available. So if I type something com, so we should get available right here. So this is available. Right, and you can see not available. Now do this because we are already running out of the time. I'll just make you understand what we have done so far. First thing that we did was go to accounts.js and say that we need to call this check availability function. So check availability function is called on click. Alright, check availability, and we are passing one parameter username and we are passing email. Handled here. Right, we say if it is username, option is going to take txt username value. If it is email, the option is going to take txt email dot value, and then we executed get because post was already happening on register, and we executed get, supply two values, value and option, as option and val. Val will take two things, either it's username or password, and option is going to take the value of username or password. We executed and posted it to register.jsp, and here we are checking. We change this. If it is post, then do registration. If it is get, then do this, right? Check availability, right? So then we went and we said I need to go and check this. So I created check username and email function, and here I said if the username, because we are supplying value to username, if username, by username, because we're just using it, right? We're just using it for supplying values, right? And you can see that the value you're getting goes to username. You can create a different getter setter for this, so I don't mind. But here I'm using username for email and both username and email. And now if it is username, right, if username has capital username, then I'm creating query to select username, right? And if it is email, I'm making query to select email and email address, or this is going to come from option, right? And then we try and execute this query, and if there is something, I say not available, right? Because if there is something, right, if results had returned something, that means it's already available. I have to show opposite because it's now found. Now you cannot re-register, it's not available. And then else, if not, then it is available. Now it's using the same function for two things. Check availability. Fahim Khan is not available. So if I add something here, so Fahim Khan becomes not available. Okay, if I add another S, you can say it is not available. In just a moment, so I'll say FAHIM, and if I check this, so I'm getting available, right? If I do this gmail.com, I check availability, not available. So if I just delete something, so I'll get available. Do this and let me know, complete and be in sync with me, complete this, and then we are going to still do many things here. We are going to do many different things. We are going to do styling, animations here. So in the next lecture, inshallah. Until then, bye bye, take care, complete it, bye.